What's good, everybody? The Ambassador here, and guess what? This is a very special episode because this is officially a current episode number 1. It'll be called episode 3, but the last 2 episodes were filmed like years ago. But this is legitimately the first legit retelling and recoming back of the Enthusiast Roundtable. I'm super excited, and I'm super excited for my first 2 guests that have reached out and decided to come into the studio. We're back in the OG studio right now, just due to some technical difficulties, but hey, it looks pretty nice. I'm happy to be here. But let's go ahead and introduce our guest. We have got Tracer. What's up, buddy?
Hi, how are you?
Good. So say your name, say your handle.
Yeah, so my name is Tracer Hayden. My Instagram handle is Hangtime Tracer Lights.
My Hangtime is that too.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
Cool, man. Welcome to the show. And we've
you.
also got Brady.
Hello. Hey, guys. My name is Brady. My handle is coaster_swag_.
And don't forget that second underscore afterwards, because if you do, it may take you to some place that we have no guarantee where it takes you, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, again, thank you guys so much for coming onto the show. I'm super excited that you reached out again for the first episode of... for the first real episode of Enthusiast Roundtable. We're back. Super excited. Now, I hear that you guys just flew back from Florida all the way back here to California. Is that right?
That is right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. We flew back at like 10 o'clock last night. We decided to come over to Magic Mountain for a bit today. We're going to do Disney yesterday, but they ended up closing as we got to the airport last night. They closed at 11 instead of 12. So unfortunately, we couldn't do that. But, yep, we're excited for Magic Mountain later today.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. So, like, you were on a plane and you landed and you wanted to go to a park?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tracer,
that's how both of us are. Especially, like, in Florida, we'll land and immediately, like, hey, let's go to SeaWorld Orlando, you know.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like when we left, we made a boarding group for Guardians, Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah.
And at like 4 a.m. our time, and then proceeded to ride it later in the day.
That's so funny. So what parks did you go to when you were out in Florida just barely?
So we went to Disney for 3 days, I believe, Universal for 1 day, and then SeaWorld Orlando for another day.
Cool, man. And wait, were you able to ride Pipeline?
Yeah, we actually rode it. We rode it yesterday. I believe I rode it 6 times. I'm not sure how many times Tracer got to ride it. There are a few downtimes during the day, but so it was kind of spotty with the lines, and then we had to leave in the afternoon. So I wish I got a few more rides on it, but it was a good amount for how long we were there for.
That's so cool, like that you were there in time for the opening. So what are your overall thoughts, Tracer?
I think it's much better than Riddler's. It's
I
think it's a lot
hot
better.
take.
It's like it's really smooth. Like for some reason the train sounds like it's rattling, but it doesn't rattle in the seat. And then the valleys of it are very, very smooth.
Yeah.
It's like you can still there's still the forces going down on it. But it's not uncomfortable like some stand-up coasters can be.
Yeah,
I don't find them personally.
It's really quiet for a B&M too. Yeah. Very quiet. Like it still has that rattle, but it's pretty quiet. It was pretty crazy. You can tell they worked on that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how's the I've heard that the crazy I'm calling it airtime, but it's more like that. I would call it elevator time because it's basically because like the train is dropping, but the seats are going to be remaining. So it's how did that work?
If you time it right, you're able to move the seats up and down. So you know how in Riddler's you're in the station and you're able to move it until they lock.
Right.
You have a little bit of like momentum, or I'm not sure how I should say it, but you have a little bit of movement while you're on the ride. So if
a little
you
bit
time
of play, right?
Yeah, if you time it right with the airtime hills, you could, jump, like kind of squat down on the seat, and then as the airtime hill goes, you just jump up, and then you're floating. And there's, I think, 4 or 5 moments of it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really fun.
And so Tracer, what did you have any like expectations going into that ride, or did you thought it was just going to be? Because I'll tell you what, a lot of us enthusiasts, when we were watching this being built, we were like, oh, it'll probably be fun, but the layout looked kind of like,
yeah.
Did it meet your expectations or
it
exceed them?
exceeded my expectations. I've heard that it was like, the best airtime in all of Florida. I don't believe that, but it's still
Gwazi much.
Yeah, I think it's the best airtime. It's the most unique airtime ever.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I would say it's not the best even in the park, but it's second in the park.
Yeah.
But I would say it exceeded my expectations. Because when I saw it being built, I'm like, oh, that'll be fun, maybe.
Right.
And it's like, because I don't really like B&M too much, and like I like their older work, but this is making me this gets me excited for what's to come with their newer models.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that blew everybody's expectations away, and because you have the stigma of what B&M stand-ups were like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, you saw the trains at IAPA and stuff like that, and you're like, okay, there's a little bit of play, but it still just kind of felt like, okay, well, there's like a big turn, and there's a turn, and okay. But it was just fun to watch everybody's, when I was watching some of the first POVs from people who were riding it during preview days, kind of going, holy crap, I didn't realize that, and I wouldn't really call it airtime. I mean, am I wrong? Because it's like, obviously, it's the train is dropping, and then the seat's going to take a second for you to...
I feel
you know
like...
what I mean? Or what?
I feel like there's more airtime because of the seats.
Yeah.
If you time it right, you can make it more. I've noticed myself, I like the left side a little more because some of the turns you're able to...
that makes sense.
You're able to it's a little bit stronger versus being on the right side. I haven't really talked to too many people who have ridden it on what side they prefer. I like it more in the front than the back. It's just more... I think it's more fun just in the front.
Absolutely, yeah. I like it in the back for most of it, besides that first airtime hill after that big turnaround.
Right. I just think it's cool because actually opposite of you is I do not like B&M looping coasters at all. Even the older stuff, but I liked Orion. I rode Orion. I thought that was great. I mean, whether it's a gig or not, who cares?
Yeah.
It was a really, really fun ride. And so I'm excited to try Pipeline. Hopefully we get there soon. So what else did you do when you guys were out in Florida? Was there? How long were you guys there again?
5 days.
Yeah, 5 days.
5 days. And
so we were there the 10th through 14th, right? Yeah.
Of May for those who are watching in the future.
Yep.
May 2023.
It's a good week to go because a lot of the parks are dead and it's right before summer break, school gets out. Universal did close early. We went to Universal on Friday, so I believe that was on the 13th, right?
Did you go to Islands of Adventure?
Yeah, we went to Islands of Adventure.
And were you able to ride the Poseidon's Fury?
No, that closed, I think, last week.
Yeah, it was last week.
Have you ever done that walkthrough before?
I have not. No, I haven't gotten the chance to.
Tracer, have you?
No, I have not. No.
Was this your first time in Florida?
No, that was my second time. We went back in January.
Yeah, and so you've obviously got Gwazi and Velocicoaster and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I have all those.
Yeah, and we didn't go to Busch Gardens on this trip.
Oh.
I wish we did, but we couldn't fit in the time for it. But on the next trip, hopefully.
So I always like to ask what. With these awesome coasters in Florida right now that have just, within the last few years, that they've really just 1-2 punched it, with Velocicoaster and with Gwazi and then with Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just Florida's holy crap right now.
It's
Pipeline.
It's one after the other. One park does something and then the next park they try to beat that, which is why Florida's, Florida's the only place I've been to. Outside of California. Been to Cedar Point, but I only went for about a day and a half, so didn't really get to experience everything. I want to go to Kings Island on my next trip out there.
That's a good park.
Kings Island is my favorite. It's
everyone says it's their favorite, or it's their number 2 or number 3 park. So, I'm really looking forward to that park.
Yeah, I liked Kings. I think I had a better experience at Kings Island than I did Cedar Point, but that's not saying that Cedar Point is bad. Yeah. I really liked Cedar Point a lot, but I think there's just something more about Kings Island. I don't.
That's what everybody says. Yeah, it's something different.
Yeah. We also stayed on property, which was really fun, and I stayed on property in Cedar Point too. But that's always fun if you can stay in those little cabins. So that's actually
and then you get that I think it's 30 minutes or an hour early.
Yeah.
So anything there helps.
And that is a little bit pricey, but it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But my original question I was going to ask you, with all these cool rides coming up, what's a what are your speculations in Florida at least? So we know that they're clearing land at SeaWorld right now for a possible another coaster. What is your hot tea about what you think that ride's going to be, Tracer?
Well, so this is right by Manta, if I'm not mistaken, right? Okay, because I think I saw it. Yeah, I think I saw it there, but I don't know what could fit there. I don't know how big that piece of land is, but I want something like a Velocicoaster or a Pantheon competitor.
Oh, so
it might be too close to islands, but I feel like that would be a good fit for their lineup because they have lots of B&Ms. They're all really good B&Ms, but they don't really have anything that's like extreme.
So you want like an Intamin there?
Yeah, I want an Intamin for sure.
Well, what do you think, Brady?
I'm not sure. To be honest, I don't really remember walking past that area. You said it was by Manta?
Yeah, we walked by it on the way to the Arctic area.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's right by the Arctic area. So
I remember where that is. Yeah. I'm not sure what I would want there, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Seas Parks, Busch Gardens included, they've all gotten a certain ride vehicle that's opening here soon. SeaWorld San Diego has got an Intamin ride that is about to open in Arctic Rescue, which is a kind of like a Maverick Light, sort of similar. Busch Gardens Williamsburg is open dark coaster, and so which is basically the same ride model. So when you start seeing the land clearing right there by the other Arctic attraction in SeaWorld Orlando, makes me think that maybe they got 3 of the similar ride, which is one of those I forget the ride model's name, but the help me out.
It's not a motorbike, but it's like
Straddle,
yeah.
The Intamin Straddle coaster. So what do you think? You think it's gonna be Intamin Straddle or
it's
what?
a good possibility. Yeah, I think like an Intamin multi-launch is what I would want, but it's probably gonna be an Intamin Straddle coaster.
Yeah, possibly. You agree?
Yeah. I'm not sure what I would want there, to be honest. I love the SeaWorld Orlando. It's one of those great parks where it's like Mako, Manta, Icebreaker, now Pipeline. It's always Kraken. It's really great.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to see something other than B&M. I mean, that's why it was kind of funny that when they got
it's just another B&M.
Yeah, well, when they got Icebreaker, it was just like, a Premier rides. Hey, all right,
Well, now that they have the comfort collars off,
so good without the comfort
collars.
So
good.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they're gonna do that with like West Coast Racers over Full Throttle. You never know.
Right. I mean, it'd be Full Throttle doesn't have it. Full Throttle just has lap bars.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's just West Coast Racers now.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what makes the loop so good in Full Throttle, because it's just your lap bar. You're like, holy crap!
Yeah.
Fall out of this thing.
Yeah, the airtime on Icebreaker made the coaster go from like relatively mid down to like my top 25.
Yeah,
it's really good now.
Yeah, I've been excited to get out there. Last time I was in Florida, we didn't have time to go to SeaWorld Orlando, which is unfortunate, but I'll get out there again soon. So also, let's stay in Florida right now. Did you make it over to the fun spots at all?
We did, and White Lightning had a recent retrack back in March. I think it was like right after we left.
Yeah, because we went in January. We went for I think a week, and they did the second retrack. I believe they did one before we were there.
Yeah, they did. When I was there in 2021.
That was the Titan track that they did.
Yeah, and then they did the second retrack, and it's a lot smoother. It was really great.
Yeah. And did you go to Kissimmee at all to see the Mind Blower?
No, we didn't get the time. I wanted to go to get on that sky coaster. I don't know if you've been on that one, but that one is insane. It's the tallest one, I believe. Yeah.
Do they still have the option where you can do the sit down rather than the fly? You know what I'm talking about?
No. I actually haven't heard of that. I think it's just the fly.
Because for a while there, they had it to where it was like a harness that you could basically, you were like sitting like
with
your feet forward, and you went and. I know that Taylor from Coaster Studios did that, and he said it was like you'd think that the flying would be scary. It's like the sitting was just that. Like
because like the thing with the sky coasters is like when you drop, you kind of like curve down and feel like you're gonna loop. But that one you just keep going, and then it's terrifying.
Yeah. Well, it's too bad you didn't see, because I know that the RMC 208 track is appeared on site at Kissimmee, the fun spot Kissimmee too.
Well, at Orlando, it looks like they're clearing out land for a coaster. It looks like they have enough space for one.
Where?
It's over by like the front entrance. Like if you're walking in, if you go to the left, you know how they have like the kiddie rides?
Yep.
It looks like they have enough space. Was it an RMC Raptor that we were talking about? Yeah, it looks like there's enough space for that.
If they take out
the food stands that are right there, they relocate them, and then they could dig up some of that land and make a Raptor easily.
Wow, that'd be cool because for a while there they had that one Raptor Raptor prototype that RMC at IAPA. They said they had one and they were calling it for sale. I don't know if you guys remember.
Oh, really?
You remember that? Yeah, like at IAPA, Fred Grubb was like, we've got another prototype. That's they kind of did a little funny thing where they're saying it's for sale. Who wants it? Type of kind of a Craigslist kind of ad type thing. And they said that they sold it, and so then everybody thought it was the one that was going to go to that water park somewhere in like North Dakota or somewheres, and then that just has never has appeared yet.
Well,
so
I just feel like RMC's relationship with FunSpot, hopefully they put another coaster at Orlando because it would be cool if they had another one there, because I think that would be their fourth one because they have the 2 coasters and then the 1 kiddie coaster. So it would be cool having the Raptor there at Orlando.
That would be cool, and it would be nice to see another little prototype. I mean, I like Wonder Woman, Flight of Courage, I really do, and Jersey Devil, very similar. I like the longer layouts, but I think that there's just something special about the little the smaller prototype ones. Have you been on any of those ones, Tracer?
Yeah, I've been on Railblazer and Wonder Woman Golden Lasso coaster.
Right.
I went on Railblazer first back in 2018, an opening year.
Yeah.
And I like it better than the longer layouts.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Just because the airtime is just vicious.
Yeah, for sure. And have either of you ridden a Stunt Pilot?
No.
Yeah, Stunt Pilot is it's interesting because it's the same sort of layout, but it's kind of like the 2.0 version of it where they've like smoothed out the like how on the other ones that it kind of does like a dip down after the lift hill and comes around.
Yeah.
Kind of a dip down and then like a dip up.
Yeah.
Stunt Pilot doesn't do that. It kind of goes up and then just does like a nice little turnaround and then comes down.
Oh, so they kind of like adjusted everything.
Yeah, they've adjusted, and even the Raven dive at the very is like kind of elongated. It's not that it was bad, but when you've ridden Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster and Railblazer, it's like you can notice the difference.
But
I still think I preferred Stunt Pilot over. Again, it's not that Wonder Woman, Flight of Courage, and Jersey Devil are bad. It's just just like you said, I like the craziness of the other ones. So it'd be cool to see like a little smaller park getting that, because again, it was supposed to go to some water park, and I don't remember, it was South Dakota, North Dakota, somewhere like that, and it blew everybody's mind. But there's one out there floating. We don't know where it is. Maybe it'll go to a fun spot. That'd be sweet.
That'd be cool if Orlando had another coaster.
Right. Let's move out of Florida. Okay, guys. So I also like to we get a little bit deep. Let's go back. Tell me about the time that I call it the spark. What sparked your enthusiasm to life? What ride or moment on a ride, or possibly even just a park, where you wanted to become an enthusiast, or you started to just seek out information about coasters? Brady, let's start with you.
So I actually fell like more in love with roller coasters during COVID than before. And I think that's when I started like meeting everyone, was during COVID, started talking to them. Just to, like that's when I got on my friendship, was literally when everything was shut down. And then I think what really like started it for me was going to Cedar Point for my graduation gift. I went with my family. Like I said, I went for a day and a half, and I didn't really get to ride much because they had the boarding groups at the time. Not the boarding groups, the boarding passes. Yep. Where they would just hand you would have to camp out at, I think it was Maverick, Steel Vengeance, Dragster. Am I missing one more?
Millennium Force.
Yeah, Millennium Force. So you'd have to camp out at one of those, or just get lucky and try to like, be nice to them, and then hopefully they'll let you in. So I only got like 2 rides on Steel Vengeance the whole trip. I rode a Millennium Force, I think, 4 times. I got kind of lucky because that's what I was most excited for, is just because that's such an iconic coaster.
Right.
So it was really cool getting on that for the first time and being in that station and hearing the music and everything.
And the people from like the Midwest and stuff like that, they don't, like, they dream of Magic Mountain,
Yeah.
And people from the West, we kind of take
They
parks.
dream of their parks.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I'd ridden like Desperado. That was my my first like hyper coaster.
I haven't been on Desperado yet.
Ah, it's a good one.
Hopefully that reopens soon.
Well, we'll see. and then when Goliath opened, and that was taller than that, rode Goliath, and I was all super excited. But when you're watching Millennium Force being built and you live in the West Coast and you're a poor college student, you're like, I can't fly to there, to ride this thing. So when I was finally able to ride it years later, it was just so, You know, it was like, wow, I can't believe I'm at Cedar Point. Like,
Yeah.
this is going up the lift hill of Millennium Forge. Like,
That's exactly how I was. I was like, when I was walking through the entrance and like you see Magnum and everything right there, it's like, wow, this is crazy. You know,
It's like when you drive on the Peninsula Road,
Right.
For the first
Yeah.
time, you're like, wow, this is like,
driving right next to Steel Vengeance and everything.
yeah,
yeah, and I think it's the same effect for people from the East Coast or wherever, and they come out to Magic Mountain, they're driving up Magic Mountain Parkway, they see X2, and they're like, oh, my
Oh yeah,
God.
it's the same thing, but I feel like Cedar Point just has that. It's one of those parks like Magic Mountain where everybody wants to go to it, and then once you're there, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's surreal. It's surreal. All right, Tracer, what about you? Is there is there a moment that you remember on a ride or something that just made you want to, just gave you that enthusiasm?
yeah. So one day I was just looking up roller coaster. I was looking up like roller coaster videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then I ended up coming across this thing called Top Thrill Dragster, and I was like 10 at the time, so I was like, "Oh, what is this?"
Right.
So I looked it up, and then I realized, wait, this park has like everything. It said Top Thrill Dragster, the Millennium Forest. I was like, "Oh, Magnum looks pretty cool." And I was like, "Oh, Maverick, that doesn't look that fun." Little did I know what's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I told my dad, I'm like, "This would be really cool to go to," and he was like, "Well, let's go."
Wow.
So what we did is we took a motorcycle trip all the way from our house in California.
Oh,
Cedar
yeah, I
Point.
remember you telling me
Yeah,
that
we went
story.
to Cedar Point on his like little Harley Davidson motorcycle. So it wasn't even like a roadster, something that like shouldn't be like cross country.
Yeah,
And then we went all the way from Cedar Point to DC and then drove all the way back.
Oh, that's
on
so
a motorcycle.
Yeah, and
Wow.
ended up coming out with Maverick being my number one for like all the way until I wrote Steel Vengeance from 7 years later in 2018.
Okay, so you would say that Steel Vengeance or Steve, for those who are in the know. You think that's better than Maverick?
I would say it is, yeah. When I first wrote it, I was like torn because I got a slow ride at Steel Vengeance, but then I got like a night ride at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And I had like sunglasses on because I didn't want to be pelted by bugs, even though it's at night. I was like, I don't want to.
I learned that mistake the hard way. Yep.
Same here. my night. This was my night ride on Steel Vengeance.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no, I think I was doing this. I was like,
Well, people warned me about the bugs before, but I didn't realize how bad they could be at times.
yeah.
My first ride on Steel Vengeance was in the back, the first train of the day.
Ah.
And it was still like really cool just getting on that, like being on new coasters. That was actually, Steel Vengeance was my very first coaster I rode since the COVID shutdown.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
So, you know, I was just like tripping out. I was like, oh my God, I'm on a roller coaster and it's like a new credit. And it was slow, you know, but it's still a lot of fun, but the night rides, you know, with the bugs hitting your face and everything, it's just a completely different ride.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can count that as a credit, the bug credit. I don't know what you call that, but yeah, no, that's interesting because like I remember when I rode Steel Vengeance for the first time, I liked it, but it was too similar to I shouldn't say similar, but it felt familiar, if that makes sense. It was still a lot of fun, but it felt familiar, and that's why I still prefer Maverick because Maverick was something I'd never experienced before, and I came off that just laughing and just like wow, because I'd played it down just like how you said you'd kind of played it down, and then when you actually ride it, you're like wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, that's cool. So basically it was you just browsing the internet and
Yeah.
So how was it? Was it surreal when you first rode it then?
Oh yeah, it was surreal, and like I was tired because like we were doing like 500, 600 miles a day on the motorcycle, and going through rain, seeing corn, a lot of corn.
I mean that's a credit in and of itself, right? Just like just the vibration, like you get off,
yeah.
you go, why would I want to get on a roller coaster?
And
right
for that whole experience, my dad he got a custom armrest made for me for the ride,
Mm-hmm.
so
Oh,
that
wow.
like I would there's a cup holder there, armrest, custom seat back,
Yeah.
and then my seat belt was literally a belt, like a waist belt. So it was.
I'm
It
sure
was
that
just
was
really
really tiring too. Just like the whole
Oh yeah.
like 5-6 hours, you know, I'm sure you're going nonstop and you don't want to.
And this was the time before you had like Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Like you I think Bluetooth is like a new thing.
Yeah.
So you didn't have any kind of music or anything.
So you're just staring at the corn.
You're just loud to corn.
And the sound of the highway was your music.
Yep.
Sure
But,
it's
and we
cold,
almost
too.
got in a few crashes because people were like looking at us. Because people were looking at us and like trying to merge in our lane just because they were like, oh wait, that's a dad and his kid. California license plate. What the heck?
Right, and that's the thing. I rode a little motorcycle for years as my primary vehicle, and I know you get a superpower when you drive a motorcycle. You become invisible. It's
Yeah.
amazing. You're like, look, I'm invisible. Nobody sees me. But crazy. So also, let's stick along with the theme of coasters that really mean a lot to us. What is a coaster? And it doesn't have to be your number one. It could be your number one, but it doesn't have to be. What is a coaster that has real sentimental value to you, even if it's not your number one? And I like to call this. I know some people call it their zero coaster.
Yeah.
I like to call it your coaster. Like, this is mine. You know what I mean?
I think
What do you
both of ours is the same. It's Guardians Cosmic
Yeah.
Rewind.
Yeah.
It's just that element where you have the music, you don't know which song you're gonna get, and then the backwards launch. It's just my favorite element on any coaster. And for me, there's not too many coasters that do that anymore, where it's like it brings you joy every time you ride it, no matter what.
Like nothing else matters in that moment. Like
Yeah.
you're just smiling, and then you're like, wow, I'm living the dream.
Yeah. And then you're like, it's also one of those coasters where it's like, you know, you're traveling, looking forward to riding that, and then you're finally on it, and then you get the backwards launch. Plus, if you get like a really good song on it too, that just changes the whole ride.
Like
Go ahead.
One of our best experiences that we had on it was on our previous trip to Florida together.
Yeah.
Not the one we just had yesterday. We rode Guardians for Last Ride of the Night. We didn't watch Harmonious that night. One of our other friends did.
Mm-hmm.
But we did Last Ride of the Night. We got a Zen ride, and we all got Everybody Wants to Rule the World, which is like our favorite one. And it was just like, we got like in all the, I don't want to have any spoilers, but basically in everything that you could possibly be around people, no people in the entire building besides cast members.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was just surreal being the only one on, and then we were listening to that song all day, and then ending up getting it.
Yeah.
So what are the songs? So that obviously is your preferred song. What's the song that you wished would just go away, be replaced with something else?
Conga.
Disco Inferno.
Wait, Disco Inferno? What do you
Disco Inferno and Conga, I feel like, are
Yeah.
at the line. But Disco Inferno isn't that bad.
Yeah.
But Conga is just like, it doesn't time well with the ride. And I
Hmm.
feel like a lot of people will agree with that too. It's like they either really like it or really hate it.
Well, I personally know an individual by the name of Peyton Bueller, who was one of the ride system engineers on Guardians. He lives in town here, and I will let him know that.
Tell him to remove it.
Well, he's done working on the ride now. He's moving on to his next great big adventure, but different ride. So, what song would you like to be? Would you like to see current songs, or should it be up to whatever the most current? So, like Guardians 3 just came out, and they I think are up to the 2000s songs. Would you like to see anything like that kind of be implemented?
Yes and no. We actually have like a playlist for songs we wanna add on it. You know, we were actually just talking about in the car. What was the song that played on the radio?
I don't remember. Man.
Yeah, there is a song that played, and we were like, this would be really good on Guardians Mission Breakout, but not on Cosmic Rewind, because I feel like the timing is better for Mission Breakout.
How many songs are in Mission Breakout? I don't even know.
4?
Is there 4? I think there's I think it's the same. It's like 5 or 6. I'm not sure what those songs are. I don't ride that a lot because it.
Get in the comments. Let us know what what songs are on the one in the Mission Breakout. Which
Guardians
is
is like one of the few rides that makes me motion sick. You know, just
which
I don't
one?
know.
Which Guardians?
Sorry, Mission Breakout.
Really over Cosmic Rewind that goes
It's
backwards.
just I feel like it's the dropping, and then like, you know, you're going up and down, and then you got like the
Okay.
visuals.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not sure
okay.
if it's something with like the projections,
Hmm.
because Star Tours, it was the same thing for me. It's just it has like a weird projection to it.
Yeah, no, that happens a lot with people who ride. Those
You know,
type of
those
rides.
motion
Yeah.
simulators, and like at Universal, you know, it's kind of the same thing. But I've kind
The
of
Forbidden
been,
Journey. People
Yeah.
get sick on that. Yeah,
Forbidden Journey. It's not that bad for me, especially with them taking out the 3D glasses.
yeah, that has helped tremendously.
Yeah, but I just feel like the projections are really dark for Forbidden Journey now too. The last time I rode it, it was pretty dark.
What if they created some sort of ride system where it was kind of like Rip Ride Rocket, but made it to where it was like you had a list of songs that you could choose from, and there was like a button. There's like a ride.
Yeah.
This ride in Europe that does it, like whether you go forward or backwards. Like
I know which one. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
for
if
that.
you have the most amount of votes, will win. What
Yeah.
if they did that with the songs for Cosmic Rewind? What would you?
I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't like it because I just like the element of surprise.
Okay.
you don't know which song you're gonna get.
I would like it though, because like if you're out of town, like I don't want to waste my time. Not waste my time, but I would rather like get the full experience of what I want.
Or if they
Or,
have like a random option where it's like you have this list of songs, or it chooses a song for you.
Or what would be cool is if you don't know what other people are picking, you just say like, oh, I want Tears for Fears, or oh, I want Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
If everyone says like their own thing, but like you don't know what it is, they don't give you a scoreboard.
Well, what if they had individual audio per seat, and it could be whatever song you wanted? Now that wouldn't be as good, right?
It wouldn't be as good. 'Cause
Yeah.
like
You'd
it's-
have to wear headphones.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
like I said earlier, it's just like that element of surprise of
Yeah.
which song you're gonna get, plus the backwards launch. It's just like Tracer said, it's like anything that's like happening, it just kind of goes away at that moment, and you're just on the ride enjoying it.
That's so cool.
And that's one of the few rides that like still gives me like that type of joy.
Sparks the joy.
Yeah.
Nice. What coaster's coming up? Or it doesn't even have to be a coaster, I guess. It could be an attraction or something like that you're looking forward to most anywhere in the world.
I'm looking forward to the Universal Hollywood coaster, because they were testing. They haven't really announced anything yet, but there's rumors that they're building one like on the hill.
Right, like a Fast and Furious
Yeah.
is kind of what it's being.
I'm looking forward to that, because if they made Velocicoaster, they're gonna try to Universal's next coaster, especially like an outdoor coaster. I feel like they're gonna try outdoing Velocicoaster with that.
Especially with what they're doing with Epic Universe, I feel like
Yeah.
with knowing what they're capable of, they can finally make Hollywood. Is it Universal Hollywood
Mhm.
Yeah.
some type of destination? I personally don't like the park.
It's a small park.
Yeah.
It definitely suffers from real estate issues, but they have built a whole bunch of new sound stages over off the other end off of
Yeah.
for those who are familiar, it's called Barham Avenue, and so it is opening up a lot more real estate. But yeah, it's so funny because for years I'd always said you need to take advantage of the topography of Universal Hollywood, because it's on literally a hill, and if you got rides like Time Traveler that also have used
Yeah.
that where you don't even need a lift, it'll just and I
But
was
the
like,
thing is, if you build an outdoor coaster on a hill, the residents aren't gonna like that, because you don't know how far away you'll hear like screaming from a roller coaster, because that's what, or like the studios also, if they're filming, that's what I've been told is that
it's a bunch of malarkey, dude. Those studios are they're called sound stages because they are like
Yeah.
soundproof.
But
And
also they're completely soundproof too. But
you've also
so
got
it's hard to get something through those walls.
and you've also got the Burbank Airport, which is right by it. And it's
Yeah.
also part of the flight path of LAX. So no, there's planes going. And the residents. I mean, if you live near Universal Studios Hollywood, I apologize, I'm not making fun of you, but y'all rich enough. But I just think if you build a ride, because it's and where it's rumored to go right by the stunt show,
Yeah.
and the animal actors, whatever. You can take advantage of it dropping down, then just maybe have a
Like
a
going
launch.
down the hill.
Right, you wouldn't need to build a lift hill. You already have
Yeah, you already have gravity
Massive.
right there, and then
Yeah,
they'd have
and-
like a lift. But how would it go back up?
launch
That's-
lift like exactly like Time Traveler.
Yeah.
I can also see something like Helix at Leesburg.
Yes.
Leesburg? Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Helix is awesome.
Yeah, very very similar. Like you could just do it a launched lift hill back up. And I've been also have heard that it might be a drift coaster, so it might have some
Ooh,
similar
yeah.
elements to what Cosmic Rewind does, where it got some controlled. And it would be better, in my opinion, it'd be better if it was controlled rather than randomized, unless they can figure out how to make it work, kind of like the Axis coaster, where if they put a certain degree of track in, it'll whip it. But if they were shaped like cars that could drift,
Yeah.
that would be Fast and
I
Furious.
feel like the technology for the Axis coasters, like once they start building them, they're gonna try to outdo the next one.
yeah.
I feel like that's gonna be the next big coasters, Axis coasters.
Well, they there's that concept art of that new park going in Saudi Arabia or something like that, where the
Yeah.
Transformers or something like that. Like legitimately, they drew an Axis coaster. Like that's like, unless the artist went online and just typed in crazy roller coaster and saw the Axis coasters, like why would you draw an Axis coaster unless it was going there?
Yeah.
But I don't want to skip over Tracer's most anticipated roller coaster.
My most anticipated roller
Yeah.
coaster? Oh, yeah. I don't know if it's called Tutatis or Totatis.
Toutatis?
Tutatis? Is that-
Toutatis, the one in France?
Yeah, I really, really want to go on that because I love Pantheon so
Yeah.
much.
They're like siblings.
Yeah, and I think it has more airtime moments and
Mm-hmm.
just a longer ride, and it just
And
looks
the
like
theming.
it's relentless. Yeah, the theming too.
Yeah. Two tatis. I think again, get into the comments. Two tatis. It's funny. The episode that I filmed over 2 years ago, we were talking about Pantheon and two tatis, and it was in Park Asterix.
Mm-hmm.
But that's cool. That's what do you guys think about Epic Universe? Like I'm kind of stoked on this mock dueling coaster
Yeah.
that they've got going on. You know, at first I was just like, okay, well, no big deal. But then when you started seeing some like the airtime hills and like the camelbacks, like holy cow, this looks amazing.
Well, when we were on our way to SeaWorld, we drove past the land, right?
We
Yeah.
did, yeah. We
Yeah.
saw the big concrete. It looks like a prison almost.
Yeah.
It's a hotel, but
It.
um,
I'm looking forward to it, and I know one of our friends who works at Universal. He's trying to be on the opening team, and he's so excited for it. So I'm looking forward to it, and Universal with Super Nintendo World, with the technology and the things they made in that, they're just gonna try to top Super Nintendo World, and it's I'm really looking forward to it, just because you never know what they could do, and the technology keeps advancing and advancing. So.
and there's the one other coaster that they're making there. I think it's also by Intamin, but it looks like a mini version of Hagrid's. The color scheme is just black and gray.
That's the like the Wolfman coaster.
I think, or was it maybe Train Your Dragon? I don't know.
Oh, How to Train. Oh, that's right. The How to Train Your
I
Dragon.
think so.
Oh, I think
yeah.
that the Wolfman one, I think it might be from Mach. I think that might be a spinning coaster.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
I haven't heard that one.
It was like a last minute. So like in the Universal Monsters, classic monsters area, there was going to be some sort of like show, and they canceled it, and then all of a sudden this roller coaster went up, and it looks like it's going to be similar to like Sierra Sidewinder at Knott's Berry Farm, like that type of spinner, like a smaller one. Yeah.
Smaller than Sierra Sidewinder?
No. I meant like it's not going to be in a mock extreme spinner like
Yeah.
Time Traveler or Ride to Happiness. It's more of the version like a Sierra Sidewinder.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, because it's cool because it has like some theming as well, and it has like a little, looks like a haunted. It might have a swing launch too, actually, because they built like this scary looking barn, but it's like in a place where it looks like it could probably do a swing launch, which is kind of cool. Isn't it funny that we've circled back and we're now back in Florida? So let's talk about. Do you have any trips coming up other than obviously Magic Mountain after the show that you guys are planning, either together or separately, or what's going on?
I'm planning for Florida again in September.
See,
because it's Florida, but
we can't get away from Florida.
We're also planning on going to Georgia to get on Air Force One.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because you got to do that. So thinking about flying into Georgia, go ride Air Force One, and then go to Six Flags over Georgia, and then I think the drive is like 8 to 10 hours. So we haven't decided on driving there or just flying into Orlando.
Oh, I see. You would drive
from Georgia,
because it could be pretty expensive when you're like when you have a flight there. No, sorry. When you have like when you're renting a car and you bring it back to a different airport, it's really expensive.
It can be, yeah.
But for me, I want to go to Europe. I haven't done any of the Europe parks yet, and I'm thinking about doing that maybe next year. I want to do that. I also want to do Disneyland Paris.
Right.
Because I've heard really good things about that park. So Disneyland Paris is definitely on the bucket list for me. Hyperspace Mountain.
Right.
I want to try getting on every Space Mountain soon too.
That's a good goal. And they're working on their new land there, Disneyland Paris, Arendelle kind of themed area.
Yeah.
Frozen.
That's where they're gonna have the new ride, just like Seven Dwarfs, right?
Yeah, I think it was. Was it Frozen themed?
Frozen, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember seeing a post while we were in Florida that they it wasn't test and adjust, but I think they were just starting to have trains with the construction crew on it.
Right.
Because I remember seeing a post while we were in Florida about that, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't even know they were building a coaster there.
Yeah, I think they're going to do some good things there. I've heard that there's going to be a lot of fun stuff that's coming to that park. And so, Tracer, what's a fun park or ride that you're looking forward to riding the most, other than Two Tatis?
So we're I'm looking forward to Air Force One. I'm gonna hit my 400th coaster on that trip.
Oh, cool.
If we end up going in September, but yeah, I would say I'm looking forward to In the United States, probably Silver Dollar City.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's-
I haven't
that's
been
one
to
of the
that
few I
park
haven't
yet
been
either.
to.
I haven't been there either, but I have been to Dollywood. And if you're going to Georgia, it's actually not that far.
How far away
Atlanta.
is it?
If you take the freeways, I think you can be there in a few hours.
Oh, really?
I purposely, so I did this last year. Last year, July, went to Georgia, went to Six Flags over Georgia, went and saw Air Force One. It wasn't open yet, but went and drove
Yeah.
past it. But then we drove up to Dollywood, Pigeon Forge, and I purposely took back roads because I wanted to see,
Yeah.
experience that. It was really, really pretty.
I feel like that's sad whenever you like drive past a coaster and you're like out of town. And it's like Air Force One, it's a new RMC. It's like, dang, you have to come back. And well, that's like another thing too, is you get to look forward to coming back and riding it.
Well, that's the story of my life, because when I was at Universal Studios Orlando and Islands, it was Velocicoaster was just testing. It wasn't open yet.
Oh, I'm
And
sure that's
then-
worse when you see it testing. You're like, get me on it. I'm from out of town.
Well, but I got to ride that Pterodon flyers with my son, so I got to see some good.
Oh,
views of it.
really?
Oh, yeah.
That's
so
one
it's
of
my
those
final
rare
credit.
credits. Yep.
But also, when we went to Busch Gardens Tampa and Gwazi wasn't even open, it was just sitting there. The park was open,
Yeah.
but they didn't open the ride for whatever reason.
Uh-huh.
And so I've had to see 2 rides that I wanted to ride that were supposed to be some of the best coasters ever, and they were just open. But yeah, but the drive, it took us only about maybe 4 hours taking the back roads to get up to Dollywood.
That's not bad
Which
at
isn't
all.
bad. We purposely didn't take the freeways, but if you took the freeway, I don't think it would take that long. At
Yeah.
all, but and then you go, okay, well then I'm already there. I might as well just drive over to Carowinds, which is only a couple of miles away. It starts getting crazy.
That's what happened on my trip last summer. I was like, we did this whole Northeast trip.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wanted to extend it, and I was like, you know what? Let's go all the way to like Kings Island.
Yeah.
And towards Indianapolis, and then all the way back down.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just like I just out of nowhere I was just like, we should just continue this trip.
It's so tempting, isn't it? Like I remember when I was doing a job in Michigan, and I was like in northern Michigan, and I was like, it's only 6 hours. I could go to Kings Island. I could probably drive overnight, probably sleep in the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
And then once you're there, you kind of just get that energy. It's like, hey, I'm at a new park,
Right. What is the craziest thing that you guys have done, as far as getting to parks and stuff like that, other than this Florida trip that you just flew back?
Oh God! So I have one.
Okay.
So it was in 2017. Backstory. I did this marching band thing. It's called Drum Corps, and it ends in Indianapolis. You know what Drum Corps is?
I've heard of Drum Corps.
Yeah. So basically, it ends in Indianapolis at the Lucas Oil Stadium. I flew to Columbus, I think. Cleveland. I flew to Cleveland. I went to Cedar Point, and then after my Cedar Point day, no Ubers were there. It was like on a Sunday night, no Ubers.
Oh boy.
And it was like 1 a.m. So I was just sitting out there, and then this family came in. They were like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I can't get back to my hotel."
Oh,
And so then they interrogated me, but they eventually let me get into their van with them.
nice.
And it was the whole family. It sounds like weird. So it's a van, but no, it was just their they're just a family. Like
Were they offering you candy to get in the back?
no.
Okay.
I was like, I'll even show you my Instagram. This is what I did all summer. I'm just trying to get to my hotel off property. It was on property, but it's like off
Sure.
of the peninsula. But it was like I was there for like a solid like hour and a half waiting, and then I finally like had the courage to ask someone.
Yeah.
Or they kind of came to me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I need help."
Wow.
Because like I waited, and my phone is dying too, and I was like, I don't know what I'm
Oh.
gonna do. I don't want to walk because like
That would take all night.
I was like,
That's
yeah.
crazy. What about you, Brady?
I don't think I've had one of those yet because I haven't really done any of like the Middle East parks. I've only done the Florida parks, California, and Cedar Point. I don't think I've had one of those yet.
Where I would say this thing you just did. I mean, freaking flying back from Florida last night, trying to go to Disneyland, waking up, coming to Magic Mountain. Because you don't live.
Yeah.
The thing is, you don't live. You live about an hour plus away from Magic Mountain, right?
I live about like 40.
Give us your exact address. No, I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
45 to 50 minutes.
Yeah.
I live right near LAX, about 10 minutes
Okay.
away. So it's kind of like halfway in between
Mhm.
Disney and Magic Mountain.
Yeah.
But yeah, Disney closed at 11. We landed at 10:15. We thought it closed at 12 a.m.
no, we landed at 9:10, but we didn't get out of the
Yeah, by the time
airport
we
at
were
10
by the time we were
10:15.
at the LAX slot, it was like 10:15.
Yeah.
But we weren't in the Uber until like 10:30, 10:45.
Oh, that's right, because you guys have to Uber it up. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
So what let's switch it to here. Let's we I like to for ratings we like to call it the hot take moment.
Hot take.
Let's get your guys' hot take, and it could be park related, it could be coaster related, it could be maybe we should stay away from other enthusiast related, right? I need future guests. But let's see. What's your hottest take, Tracer?
My hottest take is that Guardians Cosmic Rewind is better than Steel Vengeance.
That's hot take.
Yeah, it's my number 4 overall. Steel Vengeance is my number 5. Just because like Guardians is not as good of a coaster, but the theming aspect and then not knowing what song you're gonna get and the joy that it brought me in such a dark time, I was like, this is like why I want to keep going.
Yeah.
And it really like I wasn't crying during it, but it was like it made me emotional because of how surreal it felt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we were listening to, as I said before, everybody wants to rule the world all day. Just, why not? And then we got it.
And then we get it as like with all of our close friends.
And then we all started screaming and we were like, oh my God.
I was
this is
sitting
awesome.
in the front row and they were sitting in row 9 and 10. I could hear them screaming all the way in the front row.
Well, technically the back in that case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, that went from a hot take to a warm heart take, right? No, but I don't mean to make fun because I think that's, we'll get into that after this, but I think that there is something more about our joy and our enthusiasm for roller coasters that goes just beyond enjoying riding. It's definitely an emotional connection. So we'll put a pin in that. We'll come back. But I need Brady's hot take.
Yeah, I think Guardians Cosmic Rewind is my number 1.
Okay. That's not a hot take. Come on.
Hot take.
My number 1 coaster is, oh, how dare you? No, I want some hot. Come on.
I can't think of like a hot take. Is like I don't really have that many like park credits. I've only been to a few, so there's nothing I could think of as like, I like this ride better than this ride.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's a better person than I because I have lots of hot takes. Like
you could go on for hours.
No, just things like I didn't think Steel Vengeance was that great. Let's see what else. I do not like B&M looping coasters at all. I think Kumba was dumb. Let's see. Those are my hot takes.
I agree with you. B&M coasters, like, I don't really like the looping coasters. Inverts are cool because, they're different kind of forces.
Sure.
But, like, floorless coasters, they're just like, why do you exist? But then you have the hyper coasters and
which are great.
Yeah.
Like, those are awesome.
Yeah. No, still nothing. Look at it. He's a good man. Everybody go give him some love at coaster_swag_ and let him know he's such a good person. So then let's switch then. While I've got you, what's an emotional connection that you've had that's really kept, like Tracer said, that kind of kept you wanting to continue being an enthusiast? It doesn't have to be like a moment, or it could just be like, the atmosphere or whatever. What made it for you?
For me, it's like having the opportunity to travel. And for me, I've only gone to Florida, but I want to try going to, different Midwest parks, especially next year. I plan on doing that a little more instead of just Florida, try something else. But for me, it's like emotional connection to roller coasters like Guardians Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah.
Like I keep saying, I could go on all day about that backwards launch with like what song element you're going to choose.
So what causes the joy from experiencing that?
It's just like you're there in the moment. You're you're looking forward all day to riding that one ride, and then you get the song that you're going to choose, and then you have that backwards launch with the airtime moment right at the end.
And is it enhanced by being with a group of people that are your friends?
Definitely. If you're in a large group with your close friends, it makes it a lot more fun.
So I would say, I'm kind of here's another hot take. I'm kind of a person where I absolutely hate when people all want to ride on the same train with the roller coaster. It drives me insane.
Really?
Yes. Because it's like, look, get on the freaking ride. You're not going to, the people behind you, they're not going to, it's a roller coaster. You could talk about it afterwards. But it seems like Guardian's different because of that randomness of the song.
Yeah.
And
because if you ride, on the train, the next train, you like if you all ride in the same row, and then you get everybody wants to rule the world, and then the next train gets conga.
Right.
It's two different rides.
Exactly. And so like, say like for like X2 or something like it, you write X2, why confuse the lines and come in front of us, we got 4 people for us, we all want to ride the same train. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like just get off the ride. And it was fun is you get to see your friends on the break ride going, I get to see their faces.
And you could kind of hear everyone like screaming and cheering at the end.
Like when you're on the same train, you don't get that.
Yeah.
You don't know who's behind you or in front. You can't, and so, but I think maybe that's interesting because maybe Cosmic Rewind would be the one exception to that rule because of the randomness of it, and because it does drive, because it also causes lines. I hate it when there's a big group like all 16 of us want to ride on the same train. So can you let us?
It's really hard. I've noticed going with a big group to a park. Yeah, it's really fun. But if you go with like 2 or 3 people and they're like your close friends, I feel like it's a better day. But it makes it more fun, going with a group of like 8 or 10 and they're all your close friends. But like going with a group of like 2 or 3, you don't really want to be like, hey, I want to go here, and then half of the group wants to go here, and then
that's a good point.
You split off, and then you need to meet back somewhere else. I feel like it's not as productive of a day, especially if you're traveling from out of state.
Right. That's a really good point because, like, I think, and I agree with both of you that I do think that it's a much more enhanced experience when you can go with a friend, whether they're an enthusiast or a GP or whatever. But there's something about having that camaraderie. And, it's okay to be in a big group, but like I said, it can get kind of confusing because some people want to go here, there, or whatever. But I do think that that's why the enthusiast roller coaster enthusiast community is so awesome, because there's that kind of that unspoken, like you could just look at someone and just be like, oh my gosh, like, right? Like this ride or something like that.
I feel like that's how our whole friend group is like, it's either everybody's number 1 or it's like top 5.
Yeah.
It's because that element of surprise with not knowing what song you're going to get, and then the backwards launch. My first time riding it, I went into it with no spoils besides that like backwards launch, and I was just like, oh my God, I was in tears of joy. I was like, I'm on this,
What was your first song?
Oh, I think my first song,
I love that this has become a thing now. It's like, people are like, what's your first song? What's your latest song? What's your first song?
No, it was Disco Inferno was my first song. And because I remember that because one of my friends was on a streak of getting that song, and it was like his 4th time in a row getting that. And I ended up that whole trip, I ended up getting that song. And then my last ride on it was I think Conga. So my very first rides on it, it wasn't that great because those songs are at the bottom of my list.
What was your first song?
My first song was September, and that's my most played song, is because I feel like September, I don't know if it's like the same. I don't know if the percentage you get the song is like the same per song. I feel like it should be, but like I just keep getting September, which is like my number 2 song. So it's like, I'm very happy with that.
Right.
But I really want, like,
we got September, I think
3 times in a row.
Yeah, 3 times in a row. And then we got One Way or Another, and that was the only song that I was missing, where it's like, hey, I need all. One Way or Another was the only song on that list that I didn't have. So I was really excited. I was like, hey, I finally completed all the song lists.
And then the last ride, we got September.
Yeah.
Did you have time to ride Tron Light Cycle?
Yeah, we rode Tron. Friday night? No, Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. I rode it Friday night, or no.
Friday
Did I ride
night.
it? Yeah, I rode it Friday night just because I got the individual lightning lane, and it's a lot of fun. I would like for it to be like maybe 30 seconds to like a minute longer. But I was already going into it anticipating that it was going to be like a pretty fast ride.
Mm-hmm.
But just like walking into the grid, seeing all the lights on the roof glittering, it was really cool, like being in that moment. And then I rode in the front my first ride. I asked one of the cast members there what row they suggest, and they said row 4 is like the row to ride because they designed
the magic cycle.
They designed the whole ride from row 4. Like when they were riding it and they were like reprogramming stuff, they said that the Imagineers ride in row 4. So whenever like the cast members go as guests, they always request row 4.
Imagineers, I know you have some of you as fans. Is that true? Let us know in the comments.
Ooh.
That's super cool. Let's go back to another thing here. What's your least favorite ride you've ever ridden?
T3 for sure.
Ooh.
T3, and I'm glad that it's gone. It's like
Yeah.
it's the SLC model is like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that has good elements, but the trains are usually what makes or breaks it. And they tried to fix it with those. I think the Kumbacher trains. I don't know the manufacturer, but they ruined it with those restraints.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like Skyrush, but Skyrush is like perfect compared to those restraints.
Yeah,
It's,
that's
they like I have never felt pain like that in my life.
so. What do you think is going to replace T3? What would you like to see replace T3?
My answer is always going to be an Intamin multi-lunge.
Always, every single
Ooh.
time. So we need a Taran US.
But at that park, I feel like they need an invert.
Yeah, so replace the invert with an invert. So would it be B&M or
B&M.
no Vekoma? Because it's already a Vekoma, but the new Vekoma inverts are not bad.
That's true. That is true. I don't know much about there's a like an in Vekoma T. I forgot what the name is, but it's like in Europe, and it's had really good reviews.
Oh,
FTC.
Haas over Kopf. Yeah, this is the name of the ride over at I think it's in Tripsdrill. I think it's called Haas over Kopf. It's called the looping suspended coaster now instead of the SLC. I can't remember what it's called. I know what you're talking about. But I mean, there's something. I mean, even because I've been on Dragonflyer at in Dollywood, and that was pretty fun. It's a family coaster, but it was awesome. All right, what's your least favorite coaster?
Okay, so before I was an enthusiast, it was Viper at Magic Mountain.
Ah, okay.
And
why?
I didn't know how to write it correctly,
Ooh.
and I just thought it was painful. But once you realize lean left, lean right, if you learn how to write it correctly, I feel like it's a lot like it's a really great ride, and you realize like you don't have that type. There's not that many type of rides like that.
So educate us. How do you ride Viper correctly? Take us through it step by step.
So if you're turning left, it's like you lean right. It was like I remember our friend Ernesto. I rode with him, and then that's how I was just like, oh my god, if you write it, where it's like you're turning on the opposite side with the turn, and then you're like lean forward, lean back, it like I feel like on the some parts where it's like you have to lean forward so you don't bang your head, and then you kind of have to staple yourself in order for it to like not getting the head bang.
Okay, so if that used to be your least favorite coaster, what's your least favorite coaster now?
It's not a coaster, but for me, Fast and Furious Supercharged at Universal
Orlando.
Orlando, yeah, that's what I meant. I was gonna say Hollywood.
The one in Hollywood,
no.
the segment of the tram tour in Hollywood.
That one's cool because you're like going into it and you're like you don't know what you're going into.
Yeah.
But like, it's just the queue line for the one in Orlando, that one's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the best part. But just to ride, it's just like it wasted space. It's the same thing as the studio tour. But you're like, you're in that thing with, I think it's like 8 to 10 in a row.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like crammed in, and then it's like, I'd rather be on the studio tour riding that.
That's a good point. So what should replace that ride? Obviously, if they're going to take it out, what should replace it?
I don't know.
An Intamin multi-launch?
They wouldn't have space for a coaster there, but if they put in another flat ride or like a dark ride like that, what would they put in? Because maybe with their technology advancing, they could put in something better. But so I just feel like that ride is wasted space.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously the Fast and the Furious franchise, the IP, is really, really successful. So it makes sense for them to have some sort of ride themed off.
And I feel like they don't have a roller coaster for that, right?
Well, we were just talking about the one that is possibly rumored for Hollywood, but
it would be cool if Hollywood had one, because I feel like that would really add to their lineup if they had a Fast and Furious, especially if it was a roller coaster.
Well, what if they went the dark coaster route, and what if they built an indoor coaster inside?
I feel like it would be better if they made an outdoor coaster, just because there isn't one there yet, right? No.
An outdoor coaster at Universal Islands of Adventure?
Or no, I meant at Hollywood.
Oh, no, they don't have. Well, I mean, they've got Flight of the Hippogriff.
Yeah, but like
no, like a big.
If they had an actual coaster like Velocicoaster there.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's definitely coming. I mean, especially circling back to what we were talking about. I mean, there's been some sort of leaked documents, and then there's been like they've been playing roller coaster sounds and screams from
to
speakers.
Like test
you know, it's like
audio levels.
But you know, I mean, the one that's at Universal Studios Orlando. Like, what if they built an indoor coaster in that space?
I feel like
A straddle coaster.
I feel like it would be short because I feel like that building isn't. I mean, it's big, but I feel like for a coaster, I feel like they wouldn't have that much space for it.
Well, look at what they did with Dark Coaster.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, who knows? Or they could just make it like I don't know, make it the Donkey Kong coaster or something like that. No, wait, that's already coming to Epic Universe, so never mind. Which is a cool concept, by the way. Nice. So I think at this point, let's talk about what's coming up for you guys, and we'll wrap it out. I know you talked about you're going to Georgia, and then Orlando again. What's something that's coming up even more recent, other than going to Magic Mountain today?
We have some friends from Florida that are coming over here next month. So taking them over. I haven't ridden Emperor yet.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not.
Me neither.
So I'm hoping I could get out there next month. And yeah, you know, that planning on doing that, maybe like half a day there, half a day at Knott's, since it's like kind of on the way.
Right.
And then also maybe going out to CGA and Six Flags, because I haven't been to the Six Flags out there yet.
Oh, the Discovery Kingdom?
Yeah. That's what everyone says.
It's okay.
They have a really weird camera policy. Like the camera has to be under like the lens has to be under 3.5 inches long.
Oh, really?
It's really weird.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like, I was taking a picture. They're like, you have to get out, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, you guys let me in? Like, no, it's too big. And I'm like, okay, great.
They just had lens size envy.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to CGA because when I went there in Winterfest, I think I went there a year or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's really great. I love the weather over there when it's like super cold. You're riding Railblazer and everything. It's just, and if you go with a good group of people, it makes it a lot of fun.
Right. What about you, Tracer? Anything coming up?
No, honestly.
No.
Besides September, because I just have to save money at work.
Yeah. We're all there.
Yeah, I'm at Knott's Berry Farm every day.
That's cool.
Yeah, at work.
Oh, yeah, you work at Knott's Berry Farm?
Yeah, I work at Hangtime. So,
cool.
So I work at Hangtime. And
get it? Hangtime.
Tracer
Lights.
And like my handle was Hangtime before I worked at Knott's. I wanted to work at Knott's because of Hangtime's opening. That's where I met a lot of my coaster friends.
Yeah.
You know, Ernesto. That's where we ended. That's where Ernesto eventually had me meet Brady, and then just kind of snowballed from there.
Right. Hangtime also has some history with me kind of becoming more active in the community. I was watching Drew with Parks Bros, his coverage of that ride being built, and that's kind of what got me into wanting to watch more videos about roller coasters being built. So
yeah.
I love those construction videos.
Yeah.
It's like seeing, especially going back and like seeing like, hey, you know, we were here like 2 years ago and now we're riding it.
Well, and that's how you and I met, Brady, was with West Coast Racers, right? Yeah, I was doing some.
Well, I think I met you at Media Day that day.
I think I'd seen you before that. I think you'd come out to check out some of the construction, and I happened to be there. I think.
Yeah. I don't remember. This is so long ago.
Who cares? But that was pretty cool though, because again, that was fun because covering your first coaster, you know, start to finish, then actually getting on it. It was kind of feels like a fun accomplishment. Probably the same thing with Hangtime for you.
Going back to West Coast Racers construction, that was another one of those rides where it's like, hey, I got really into like construction and like, you know, that's when I created my account, and I feel like that's like another one of those rides where it's like, you know, it inspired me to create an account and like take pictures of the parks and everything.
And I take 2% credit with your name.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were on the Discord for Parks Bros, I think, and he was asking like, hey, I want to,
because my Discord is Crazy Six Swag.
Crazy Six Swag, right? And I was like, well, why don't you just say Coaster Swag?
And I was like, that's a good idea.
It's like, it sounds good. You owe me $1.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I do appreciate both of you guys coming in, taking the time. I know that it's we want to get you to the park. Park is open. It's 11:16 a.m. as of time of recording. So obviously, I don't want to take away from your park day. But thank you guys again so much for coming in and being a part of this historic, legitimate, actual, current Enthusiast Roundtable, dude. So I'm super thankful. So let's go around, and I want you to throw out your socials where people can find you. Tracer.
Yeah, so it's Hangtime Tracer Lights on Instagram. Then if you want me on YouTube, it's just Tracer Hayden, my name. I just post coaster photos, sometimes Disney stuff, and my records on Space Mountain.
Yeah, can't forget those.
And let me tell you, his photos are awesome.
Thank you.
When you're talking about different kind of lenses and stuff like that, you know that the pictures are gonna be legitimate. So check them out on Instagram. Brady.
So I'm just on Instagram. It's coaster underscore swag underscore. Don't really post many like actual photos. I mainly do stories. But I do Magic Mountain frequently, Disney frequently. I'm starting to get a little more active on it again.
Right. Well, and that's the cool thing about Enthusiast Roundtable here is that this show is for you, the enthusiasts. Show isn't about me, even though I tend to talk too much. But everybody's invited. So for anybody else watching who wants to come onto the show, please reach out to enthusiastroundtable@gmail.com. I don't care if you've got 0 subscribers or if you've got 5 million subscribers. It doesn't matter. If you're an enthusiast, hey, maybe you don't even have an Instagram at all. Reach out and we'll get you on the show. I think it's really important because everybody has an opinion on the community, what their favorite ride is, what their least favorite ride is, what their favorite park is, if they're a Universal person, if they're a Disney person, Six Flags versus Cedar Fair. You're all welcome here, and I think that's what makes and binds us as a community is not only our love for the rides, but our uniqueness, and we have all of our own opinions. So again, thank you so much to Tracer and Brady for coming onto the show. And again, reach out to enthusiastroundtable@gmail.com if you want to be a guest on the show. And I'm still looking for a theme song, and I'm still looking for a logo. And it's not that for lack of being able to find one. It's just more of I want the community involvement. I would like to see you design something for me. And if I pick yours, I will pay you in real money. All right. So again, on behalf of Tracer and Brady, this has been the Ambassador, and this has been your Enthusiast Roundtable. Everybody rides together. Let's go.